All right, 3.1 lesson is all about solving what we call quadratics. Um, Quadratic functions are in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now, with these, you have to understand that you could have anywhere from 0, 1, or 2 solutions with these. Okay, there are several methods we can use to solve these, but this section focuses on two. First method is by factoring, which you just got done doing. And the second one is using the square root method. Okay, so let's talk about the factoring method, right? So anytime we do the factoring method, first thing we have to do is set it equal to 0. So we're going to set the quadratic equal to 0. Then you're going to completely factor the quadratic. And then what we do from here is we set each factor equal to 0 and solve. Okay, let's take look at a couple of examples here. Remember, when we factor, we always start with the greatest common factor. So when I look at 36 and 12, they can both be divided by 12. And if I look, each of these terms has an x, so we're going to pull out an x. So 12x times, I'm going to divide each of these by 12x, and what I'm left with is 3x plus 12x divided by 12x is 1 equals 0. Now our goal is to find what value of x makes this equal 0 and what value of x makes this equal 0. So right away what we do is we take 12x, pull it out, set it equal to 0. We take the 3x plus 1, pull it out, set it equal to 0. Here we divide by 12, x equals 0. Here we subtract 1, 3x equals negative 1. We divide by 3, and we get x equals negative 1/3. All right, so again, if I plug these back in, if x equals 0, 12 times 0 is 0, 0 times this is 0. So remember, the solution to any equation is the value of the variable that makes the equations true. In the next one, right, we have a difference of two squares. So what we're going to do, take the square root, that gives me 3x. Okay, this gives me 4, so this factors out to be 3x plus 4 times 3x minus 4 equals 0. So what we do now is we take each of these factors, 3x plus 4, set it equal to 0. We're going to take 3x minus 4, set it equal to 0, and we solve each equation. 3x equals negative 4, divide by 3, x equals negative 4/3. Then over here, add 4, 3x equals 4, divide by 3, and x equals 4/3. All right. Now in the next one, right, again, we have to completely factor. So if I look, all of these terms could be divided by 3. So we're going to pull out that 3. I cannot pull out an x because not every term has an x. So we're left with x squared minus x minus 20 equals 0. So now we have to find the numbers that multiply to give us negative 20 and add up to negative 1. So that would give me 3 times negative 5, so x minus 5 times x plus 4 equals 0. Now anytime I pull these factors out, I only pull the factors out that have a variable in them. So I'm going to pull x minus 5 out, set it equal to 0. Pull x plus 4 out, set it equal to 0. Add 5, x is equal to positive 5. Subtract 4, x is equal to negative 4. And we are done. So again, always set it equal to 0, set it equal to 0, factor it, then set each factor equal to 0. For example 4, if I look, there's no GCF here, okay? So no GCF, so we have to find the numbers that multiply to give us 32 and add up to 12. All right. So when I look at this, that would be 8 and 4. So this would factor to be x plus 4 times x plus 8 equals 0. And when I pull each of these out, x equals negative 4, x plus 8 equals 0, so x equals negative 8. All right. Now when you look at number 5, is this one set equal to 0? No. So our first goal here is to add 6 to both sides. So I get x squared minus 9x plus 18 equals 0. Now what numbers multiply to give me 18 and add up to give me negative 9? That would be negative 6 and negative 3. So this factors out to be x minus 6 times x minus 3 equals 0. Pull each of these out, set them equal to 0, and x equals 6, add 3, x equals 3. And those are the two solutions to that quadratic. So in example 6, there's no GCF, right? So what we have to do is go and use that AC method, right? So when we go to use the AC method here, so when we do AC method, remember, right, we multiply 3 and negative 14 and we rewrite this as 3x squared, right? Now we have to find the numbers that multiply to give us 3 times negative 14 is negative 42. So we need to find numbers that multiply to give me negative 42 and add up to 19. If I look, this would be positive 21 and negative 2. So what we do is we rewrite that middle term using this, okay? So we're going to say 3x squared, then plus 21x minus 2x, but then we come back and we have the minus 14 equals 0. Now if you remember from here, we group the first two terms and the second two terms. Greatest common factor here is 3x times, when I divide these by 3x, I get x plus 7. The GCF here is negative 2, so I'm going to pull out the minus 2 times negative 2x divided by negative 2 is x plus 7 is all equal to 0. So now I pull out my common binomial factor of x plus 7, and what do I have left over? 3x minus 2 equals 0. So now I pull each of these factors out. X plus 7 equals 0. 3x minus 2 equals 0. So subtract 7 here. X equals negative 7. And here I would add 2 to both sides. 3x equals 2. X equals 2/3. All right. Now number 7. Very similar problem, but the only thing is, right now when you look at this, is it set equal to 0? No. So our first step is to subtract the 6. And I end up with 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals 0. Now when I use AC method here, okay, right away what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and multiply to 2 and negative 3, so I have to find the numbers that multiply to give me 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and adds up to positive 5. Right? So we know right away the sign's got to be different, so we're going to say these numbers would be, what would that be, 6 and negative 1. So we rewrite this as 2x squared plus 6x minus 1x minus 3 equals 0. Group the first two and last two. GCF for the first one, 2x. And I get x plus 3. Then I'm going to divide this by -1. So minus 1 times x plus 3 equals 0. So this becomes x plus 3 times 2x minus 1 equals 0. So x plus 3 equals 0. So x equals -3. And my other one, 2x minus 1 equals 0. So 2x equals 1. X equals 1/2. And right then and there, you get your answer. So now, number 8. This is already set equal to 0, and if you think about this, when you square something, it ends up being 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3 equals 0. And since you have the same binomial factor here, all I really have to do is pull 1 out and set it equal to 0. And when I solve this equation, 2x equals -3, divide by 2, and x equals -3/2. The next problem, very similar, but if you look at this, right, it's not as straightforward because it's equal to 100. What they really want you to do here is multiply this out and then go from there by subtracting 100 and so on. Anytime you have an exponent 2, I always say take the square root of both sides. You end up with 2x plus 3 equals, we're going to say plus or minus the square root of 100. So what we say here is you get two equations now. Anytime you take the square root of both sides, you take two equations. So it's going to be 2x plus 3 equals positive 10. Then the other one would be 2x plus 3 equals the negative square root of 10, which is -10. And now I just solve each of these equations. 2x equals 7. Divide by 2. X equals 7 over 2. Here, subtract 3. 2x equals -13. Divide by 2. And x equals -13/2. All right. So again, as long as you know how to factor, this lesson's not very hard. Okay.